Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to properly mix the low end of your tracks. And by the way, I just started a mixing and mastering service where I'll be mixing and mastering your guys' tracks for you to get them sounding as good as possible. I made it really affordable because I know when you're just starting out producing music, you don't have that much money to spend on it. So I made it affordable for you guys. You can go check it out at the link down below. And I'm pumped to be mixing and mastering your guys' tracks to get them sounding as professional as possible. When I hear all your guys' demos, the number one most common mixing mistake is that the low end isn't mixed right. And when the low end isn't mixed right, it just throws off the whole track. It just throws off the balance of everything. So it's definitely important to know how to mix it. So I just have a basic demo loop here that I just threw together that I'm going to use as an example of how to mix your low end. Here's what it sounds like right now. It's not really mixed properly yet. So obviously for a full track you'd have more drums and like a lead sound and some synths and stuff, but I just wanted to focus on the bass and how to mix the low end of the bass in with the kick. So the most important thing to keep in mind is the relationship between the low end of the kick and the low end of the bass, which is called the sub bass. And the sub bass is basically everything below like 100 hertz or 120 hertz. And you want to make sure that the low end of the kick and the low end of the bass are not interfering with each other at all. So the easiest way to do that and the easiest way to get control of that is to separate the sub bass from your main bass. So right now this bass is almost playing across all frequency spectrums, as you can see in this EQ. So what we're going to do is make a new sub layer and separate it from this main bass. So I'm going to take this EQ and bring it up to like 120 and make sure there's no sub bass frequencies playing. And then what you want to do is create a new track with a sub bass on it, which I've done here. And a sub bass is just really simple. In Serum you just need to use the sub oscillator. In this case I used a saw wave. And then there's really nothing you need to do besides put it in mono to make sure the notes aren't interfering with each other. To make sure your sub bass is on the right octave, open your EQ and whatever synth you're using and mess around with the octave until you can see that the main part of the bass is within like 30 to 100 hertz. So you can see when it's -1 octave, it's not far enough down to be in this 30 to 100 range. So I want to move it down to -2 so it fits right in that sweet spot where the sub bass should be. Anyway, that's all basic stuff. The important thing is getting your sub bass out of the way of the low end of the kick. And how you do that is you put a sidechain plugin on the kick track and the sub track. So I'll put a sidechain on the sub track right now. I'm going to use Cable Guy's volume shaper to do this. What you're going to want to do is create a basic sidechain shape. So this is kind of what a basic sidechain would look like, but we're going to take it a step further to make sure it doesn't interfere with the kick at all. So I'm going to drag these points so that in the beginning there's absolutely nothing playing at the start. Now I'm going to bring this part up to around here. It really depends how long you want to make your kick. So I'm just going to keep this around here for now. Maybe do a little drag like that. And then now I'm going to go into my kick sidechain and do the exact opposite of this. If I play the kick right now, you can see the tail of the kick is going well past where I have the sub coming in. So what I want to do is shorten this kick a lot and make it match this sidechain I have for the bass up here. So now the kick and the sub are exact opposites. They're never playing at the same time. But anyway, the average listener will never really notice the sub bass. It's more of a thing you feel. But if you don't get this part of the mix right, then it throws off the balance for the rest of your track and you won't be able to master it properly or anything. And the great thing about separating your sub from the other basses is when you're mixing your track, you can mess with the level of the sub individually instead of having to like EQ it on your other bass. So then while you're mixing, you reference your track with another track and pay attention on your monitors or headphones is how loud the sub is in that track, and try to match that level with the sub of your track. Another thing is always make sure your sub is heavily compressed. I have it compressed here with the CLA bass plugin with this spank compression turned up all the way. And the reason you want to heavily compress it is so there's not a lot of variation between how loud the different notes in the sub are. You just want it at a constant volume. Now that the very low end of the kick and sub are mixed, you want to make sure that nothing else in your entire track is going below like 120 or 150 hertz. You want nothing else down there in that frequency range, just the kick and the sub. So hopefully this quick tip was helpful. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify below. Other than that, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.